Good evening. I'd like to ask you to stand as you're able and join me as we pledge allegiance by saying, I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to call to order the Board of Commissioners meeting for November the 18th. May I have a roll call, please? Present.
Here.
Is there any public comment to come before the Board of Commissioners? Item number 4 on the agenda, for the Commissioners and the Board. Is there any further discussion on the elected officials' compensation? There will be a series of motions that I will call for. The first motion I will ask for is to establish the salaries as they are currently presented. Is there a motion to establish those salaries?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The second motion, is there a motion to establish the CPI with a range from 0 to 2%? As chair, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion on the CPI?
The only question I have is, are we reiterating this pegged to the national average and not to a,
We've got urban consumers, U.S. city average for 12 months, section 2 of the ordinance. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The third motion, is there a motion for the salary default under section 3 of the ordinance that if a court having proper jurisdiction rules that any increase given for more than 1 year must be disallowed, the increase shall be at 1%. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion on the salary default? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 5. Is there a motion then to authorize the solicitor to advertise the salary ordinance for adoption at our meeting, the Board of Commissioners, on December the 8th?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion for the ordinance to be advertised and for the adoption on December the 8th?
Just, Madam Chair, I'll just make a few comments. I think that essentially what we're trying to do here is come up with an ordinance to abide by the law as we're required to, to essentially bring us into a situation for all of our county's elected officials so that hopefully none of us get raises more than what county employees get. That's difficult to do, but it's based on the CPI, but it says that if the CPI goes to 4%, we're only going to get a 2% increase. The fact is that this is cuts in half the maximum increase that is permitted for elected officials under the current ordinance that was passed, I guess, 4 years ago. So I think it's reasonable. The other part of this is the salary default, which previously was if the court would rule invalid, tying into the CPI and what we've done previously. That previously it was there would be an increase of 2%. This essentially brings that to 1/2 of what that was, which would be 1%. So I think it's fair and reasonable, and that's what it is.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Any additional comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Is there any other business to come before the Board of Commissioners?
want to mention that it's unfortunate we can only do this every 4 years, because if we could do it more often, we could be more responsive to market conditions, but with the law the way it is, we simply have no choices, actually. So, but we had our opportunity here, and we did take, I think we had some reason to discussion on this. This was not a perfect process, but I think what we've come up with is certainly a workable solution. I am pleased that we were allowed to complete the evaluation process that Larry, or the chief clerk, was charged with carrying out, and that was allowed to play out, and we had good data to work with. That almost did not happen. So I would just add that I think sometimes we just need to remind ourselves we shouldn't be afraid to ask questions, because the answers might be something that's unpopular.
Any other comments, any other business to come before the board? Hearing none, thank you very much. We're adjourned.